Just coming to the close of the conversation, changing gears a little bit from the companies building AI products to how companies can use AI to enhance their own businesses, right? But before I go into that, maybe have some questions from the audience. So one is a broader, more philosophical question again from Pranjal asking, what did you learn building these companies from scratch across different disciplines? There's literally no overlap between a payment processing company to a software development company to an educational business with Sunstone. Is there a sort of playbook, a framework that you follow, and some thoughts, on how you build this? I know it's a difficult question, but we'd love to get your 2 cents on what worked for you, and what are some of these core principles and concepts that you still hold dear, and you mentor the founders who you work with today from your own experience.
Again, hard question to answer in a small time frame, but I would say, if you've read this book called Who Moved My Cheese, I think I've been a little bit like Sniff and Scurry, which is basically kind of really just following the smell of cheese more than anything else. I think look where the puck is going, be sufficiently agile, and sort of give it your best shot and keep moving. I think what has been my strategy, but I think there are plenty other strategies that have worked for other people as well.
And would you say then, Rajul, that your approach has been, I mean, I've known folks, for example, to take a playbook approach, right? Which is something that works, it's something that you refine over time, and you are able to repeatedly sort of implement it in different spaces, right? The context may change, but sort of that approach remains. The flip side, of course, is what you said, which is the who moved my cheese, which is more in terms of, say, first principles thinking, right? So I do you see yourself more as someone who's first principles? Do you see yourself as someone who's more playbook oriented, or is it a combo of both of these things?
Secondly,
It's an interesting
definitely,
question that
definitely
I want to
more,
ask.
definitely more first principles. And the simple reason is that I just think, at least in my view, the playbooks are very contextual. And I think it's a need to make these playbooks, and we sort of a lot of times make them in retrospect, but they don't always apply to the future because the contextual parameters completely change. So I think so. I'm definitely more in the sort of first principles as sniff and scurry category. Yeah.
Got it. Awesome. So maybe the last couple of questions for today before we wrap up. One, how are you seeing people implement AI to transform their own businesses? Right. I think it's obvious, using, say, Lovable or Cursor for code development and so on. But even in a broader sense, right, are you seeing companies implement it to, say, manage payroll? Are you seeing it from an HR and a recruitment perspective? Are you seeing it from a marketing perspective? Right. How can you leverage, right, and do more with less today as you build a business? And second, what advice would you have for the folks who are on the call and will be viewing this podcast later as they think about building companies in this time frame?
Yeah, I think firstly, I don't see companies, see the startups are still on the small side, and I mostly interact with startups and all that. And I don't think they're doing that much today with AI tools. I think everybody has started on that journey. So people are using vibe coding tools, like you said, to my extent. The other area where I see people experimenting a lot more is the GTM side. So again, because startups are so focused on revenue, right? That's what catches their attention usually quicker than anything else. So things which can run them better campaigns, things are sort of, email reach outs, email companions, lead qualifiers. I see people sort of using some of these tools, but it's still very early days. People are not, I haven't seen companies use them for internal systems at all so far, at least the startups. It will change, and I do think it's an opportunity for those of you who are building companies today to think of what like a truly native AI company would look like. I think there's talks these days of 1 billion, 1% billion-dollar companies, being possible in future. Sam Altman has said that multiple of times, and all that. So I do think more and more such things are possible today. You can be an ultra efficient company if you truly sort of use AI from the beginning. I don't see it enough today, to be honest, but I
Understood.
do think it's coming. I think this situation will change dramatically in the next 2 years. That's what I think.
Understood. And before we head out, any closing thoughts, anything that you'd want to, sort of tell the community in terms of how, they should think about going about things, any advice that you have for founders, for operators, And I think, as Pranjal again has asked, it doesn't matter if you're not an engineer, but you're even a generalist in this space, right? Who's trying to build something. Any parting thoughts, any advice that you would have to offer?
Yeah, again, I was just listening to Sam Altman, and he said like he envies the kids who are graduating today at 21, 22 because they can do so much that was just not possible earlier on. So I think, we are really in times of great opportunity, which is always a good thing. There's plenty of capital around, there's a lot of opportunity. But it really does come down to you finding, those opportunities, thrusting yourself into it. And the good thing is today, even engineers can both do a lot. Just given the tool set that we have, I think that sort of lines have blurred a little bit, versus earlier non-engineers, let's say, couldn't even get started, right? To do anything today, they can do that much more. They can create wireframes, they can create, in fact, 80% functional products in many cases, to get started. So I think we do have a times of opportunity, but you have to wake up and smell the coffee. I do think there is a lot of, I don't see many people doing that still. I think many people are sort of still a little bit on the side, and yeah, have really not woken up fully to the opportunity.